The waiter placed dessert menus on our table while my husband checked his phone for the third time in 5 minutes. I thought maybe work was stressing him again. Then he looked up with cold eyes I didn't recognize and said the words that shattered everything. "I'm leaving you for someone else. She's pregnant, and I want to start fresh without the baggage." He said it like he was discussing weekend plans. I never imagined I'd be telling this story. The raw truth of how betrayal feels and how you even begin to pick up the pieces when your entire future vanishes overnight. My hands trembled, but I refused to let tears fall. Not here. Not for him. The waiter returned with a bright smile and congratulated him on the baby news. My stomach dropped. He told people before telling me. Instead of exploding or confronting him, I played the long game. I excused myself to the restroom, my voice steady despite the earthquake inside my chest. In the mirror, I barely recognized the woman staring back. But something shifted in that moment. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to fall apart. Instead, I remembered the prenup he'd insisted I sign 5 years ago. He'd been so smug about protecting his assets. I'd read every word back then, even the clauses his lawyer probably assumed I'd never understand. One section suddenly burned bright in my memory. Infidelity voids all his protections and triggers enhanced support payments to me. I returned to the table and finished my wine while he rambled about his exciting new chapter. He expected screaming or pleading. My silence unnerved him. I could see it in how his confidence wavered. When the check came, he paid with our joint credit card without thinking twice. Every transaction created a trail. I made mental notes of everything. The date, his admission, the waiter as witness. The next morning, I pulled out the prenup from our safe and reread it carefully. My hands shook with something new. Not fear. Power. I called the attorney who drafted it. The attorney's voice brightened when I explained the situation. "He violated 3 major clauses already," he said, barely containing his excitement. "The infidelity alone would cost him substantially. But if there's financial misconduct too, the penalties multiply." He asked me to document everything. I started that same day. Bank statements, credit card records, calendar entries. I created a private folder on my laptop and began building my case. Every piece of evidence was dated, labeled, and backed up to a cloud account he couldn't access. I worked methodically, like assembling a puzzle where every piece mattered. 2 weeks later, I noticed a charge for $6,700 listed as consulting expense. Something felt wrong. I searched the merchant code and found it belonged to a high-end jewelry store across town. My husband never mentioned buying jewelry. I checked his mistress's social media. There it was. A photo of her wrist wearing a diamond bracelet posted the exact same day as the transaction. The caption read, "Best gift ever from my amazing man." I screenshot everything before she could delete it. Another violation added to my growing file. He was spending marital assets on her. His company hosted a major presentation that month. I attended because spouses were invited, and refusing would have seemed suspicious. I needed him to think everything was normal. He took the stage and unveiled a groundbreaking marketing strategy that earned him a standing ovation. I sat frozen in my seat. Every slide, every concept, every data point came from research I'd done for him months ago. I'd spent weeks compiling that information while he golfed on weekends. He'd promised to credit me as a consultant. Instead, he presented it as entirely his work. The betrayal cut deeper than the affair. I went home and opened a private spreadsheet. Every project I'd helped him with, every late night I'd spent editing his proposals, every idea I'd contributed without payment or recognition. The list grew longer than I expected. Patterns emerged clearly. While I worked for free, he climbed the corporate ladder on my unpaid labor. The rage that filled me was cold and focused. I saved every draft, every email exchange, every document with my digital fingerprint. His career success was built partly on stolen work. That would matter soon. Very soon. Boxes appeared in our hallway 3 weeks after the anniversary dinner. Women's clothing spilled from the top. Designer labels I'd never seen before. He walked past me without explanation. When I finally asked, he shrugged. You'll need to adjust until you move out. She needs space for her things. I recorded the entire conversation on my phone tucked in my pocket. He admitted the affair started 7 months ago. Another prenup violation captured in his own voice. He thought I was too weak to fight back. He had no idea what was coming. Money suddenly became his favorite topic. He announced cuts to my personal spending because we need to redirect funds for the baby. He actually said that with a straight face. I nodded meekly while photographing every bank statement, every transfer, every receipt that proved marital assets were being diverted illegally. According to the prenup, all spending during marriage belonged to both of us until the divorce was final. He was violating that clause daily. I documented it all. His arrogance made him careless. That carelessness would destroy him. Have you subscribed to this channel? Please subscribe and click the notification bell. Like and share with others. I scheduled a confidential meeting with someone in his company's human resources department. I brought samples of the work he'd presented as solely his creation alongside my original drafts with timestamps proving I'd created them first. The HR director's expression shifted from polite confusion to serious concern. She asked if I had more evidence. I handed her a flash drive containing everything. She promised a thorough internal investigation. I left that building feeling lighter than I had in months. His house of cards was starting to shake. I enrolled in an executive leadership program at the local university. My skills were sharp but outdated. I needed credentials and connections. Within 2 months, I secured a high-level consulting position at a firm that competed directly with his company. The salary shocked me. I'd undervalued myself for years. My new boss praised my strategic thinking and industry knowledge. For the first time in our marriage, I had financial independence. He still believed I was jobless and desperate. His ignorance was my advantage. He stormed into the house one evening, face red with fury. Someone at work is sabotaging me, he shouted. HR is asking questions about my projects and sources. I looked up from my laptop with practiced innocence. Maybe it's just standard review, I suggested. He ranted about jealous coworkers and office politics for 20 minutes. I asked careful questions, pretending to care while internally celebrating. His paranoia was growing. The investigation was working. He suspected everyone except the person actually responsible. Me. A call came to the house from a medical clinic. The receptionist asked for him regarding lab results and stress indicators. He grabbed the phone from my hand, face pale. After he hung up, he looked shaken. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need to. The double life he'd built was crushing him. His mistress wanted attention. His job was investigating him. His wife appeared docile but was plotting. The stress was manifesting physically. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Then I remembered the anniversary dinner and the feeling vanished. His mistress posted a video showing off a luxury resort weekend. She tagged the location and gushed about how hard he worked to afford it. I recognized the property immediately. I'd received the booking confirmation email because it was charged to our joint travel account. The video showed her in a private villa, drinking champagne, talking about their perfect life together. I downloaded the footage before she made her account private. Another piece of evidence proving he'd used marital funds for personal affairs. The prenup violations were stacking up beautifully. He came home smirking one afternoon. My parents are updating their estate plans, he announced. Once the divorce is final, you'll be completely cut out. Just thought you should know. His cruelty was casual, almost bored. I said nothing. What he didn't know was that I'd already visited his parents privately the week before. I'd shown them proof of the affair, the pregnancy, and his financial misconduct. His mother had cried and apologized to me. His father had looked disgusted. They'd promised to handle things their own way. I trusted they would. 2 days later, he received a certified letter from his parents' attorney. His inheritance was being placed in a restricted trust until he demonstrated improved judgment and responsibility. He couldn't access it for at least the next 5 years. He threw the letter across the room and called them screaming. They didn't answer. I stayed quiet in the kitchen, stirring my tea. His safety net had disappeared. The prenup would strip him of marital assets. His job was investigating him. His parents had cut him off. Everything was collapsing exactly as planned. Our longtime accountant reached out to me privately, concerned about irregular financial activity in our accounts. He'd noticed large transfers and unusual spending patterns starting 8 months earlier. He sent me archived records showing exactly when my husband began moving money around. I organized everything chronologically and added it to my evidence file. Every step was deliberate, quiet, and perfectly timed. By the time I was ready to act, he had dug himself into a hole so deep that the prenup, the financial proof, and his own arrogance all combined into a downfall he never saw coming. My attorney reviewed the complete package. Screenshots, receipts, audio recordings, financial logs, HR correspondence, witness statements. He whistled low. "This settlement will exceed anything he imagines," he said. "The prenup penalties alone are devastating." An email appeared in my inbox from an address I didn't recognize. It was her, his mistress. The message was frantic and desperate. "Please tell him to stop. He's losing his mind. We fight constantly about money and his paranoia. He thinks everyone is out to destroy him. Can you calm him down?" I read it twice, amazed at her audacity. She actually thought I'd help. I forwarded the email to my attorney without responding. Her panic confirmed what I already knew. His world was imploding, and she didn't want to be buried in the rubble. He came home early one afternoon, pale and shaking. His company had suspended him pending the results of their investigation. HR had found evidence of plagiarism and misuse of company resources for personal travel. He looked at me with wild eyes. "You're supposed to support me," he said. "Where's your compassion?" I set down my coffee carefully. "I've been busy with work," I replied calmly. His face twisted with confusion. "What work?" Smiled. "My new consulting position. I start meetings in an hour." The shock in his expression was absolutely priceless. My attorney sent the prenup violation package to his lawyer that same week. The folder was thick, organized, and damning. Within hours, my phone exploded with calls from him. First angry, then confused, then desperate. I sent every call to voicemail. The final message broke through his usual arrogance. His voice cracked as he begged me to talk, to reconsider, to show mercy. I deleted it without responding. He'd shown me no mercy at that anniversary dinner. He'd get none now. The legal wheels were turning, and nothing could stop them. The mistress moved out abruptly 3 days later. She left boxes stacked in the garage and a handwritten note blaming him for ruining her life. She discovered he couldn't financially support her after his suspension and the prenup penalties. She'd thought she was getting a wealthy man. Instead, she got someone facing financial devastation. He called her repeatedly. She blocked his number. I watched his desperation grow from a distance, feeling nothing but cold satisfaction. They'd both learned an important lesson about consequences. The courthouse was cold and sterile. He sat across from me looking 20 years older than he had 6 months ago. His suit hung loose on his frame. His hands trembled. His lawyer explained the prenup terms quietly, carefully, like delivering a terminal diagnosis. Every clause hit him. Infidelity penalties, asset division triggers, misuse of marital funds provisions, enhanced spousal support requirements. His face went from confusion to horror to resignation. He'd signed the prenup 5 years ago without reading it carefully. Now it would financially destroy him. Justice felt perfect. News reached me through a former colleague that his company had terminated him completely. The HR investigation concluded he'd plagiarized work, misused company resources, and engaged in financial impropriety. His professional reputation was destroyed. Former friends and colleagues distanced themselves immediately. His name became associated with scandal and dishonesty. Nobody in the industry would hire him. He was officially blacklisted. The career he'd built partly on my stolen work had crumbled. Everything he'd valued was gone. His job, his savings, his reputation gone. Everything except the debt he now owed me. And when he finally came crawling back for help, I was already standing in a future I built for myself, free, steady, and untouchable. He appeared at my new office building one morning, looking like a ghost. Security called me before letting him approach. He stood in the lobby, shoulders slumped, asking if I could help him get back on his feet. He promised he'd changed, that he'd learned his lesson. I walked toward him slowly, remembering the anniversary dinner. His cold eyes, his casual cruelty. I stopped 3 feet away. "You threw me away like trash," I said quietly. "Now live with your choices." I walked past him without looking back. He didn't follow. I closed on a new home last month, purchased entirely with the settlement money. It's smaller than the house we shared but completely mine. No memories of betrayal stain these walls. My career is thriving. My attorney called yesterday to confirm the final prenup penalty payment cleared. The total exceeded even his optimistic projections. I'm financially secure for years. I built this future without compromising my integrity or stooping to his level. I simply used the legal protections he'd arrogantly forced me to sign. He destroyed himself. I just documented it happening. Justice delivered. Future secured. Life reclaimed. Thanks for watching. What is your view about this story? How would you have reacted? What would you have done differently? Share your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more Reddit stories. Like and share with others.